Hello, my beautiful narcissistic abuse family. If you are watching this, it is Father's Day weekend here in the US, Sunday, June 19th. And if you have a narcissistic father, my sincerest condolences. It's no better than having a narcissistic mother. Both alternatives are the raw end of the deal. We were dealt a crummy hand in the parent department. If both of your parents are narcissists, that's a nightmare in and of itself. But I can only speak from my personal experience, which I had a narcissistic mother and an enabling father, who I like to refer to as the henchman, her sidekick. He does her bidding, her cohort, anything of that nature. So, again, either way, we have been robbed of actual loving, supportive parental figures. And it's a void that never goes away, I speak about this often. I've come to terms with it. One of the biggest, most crucial steps to our healing is just grieving the loss of these parents that we never had, that we'll never have. We'll never have substantial, formidable relationships. We'll never have that nurturing parental element in our life. But the upside is we have the capacity for these things. These people are so devoid and disordered, they will never have substantial, formidable, meaningful relationships in their lives. It's nothing personal, it's nothing against us, but, and the upside is that because we are breaking this toxic cycle of generational abuse, we will go on to have meaningful, loving relationships and to experience the beauty in human companionship and caring and compassion and loving one another. It's amazing. There's nothing like that. So, all right, the enabler. This is just kind of triggering for me, I'll be honest. It's like this man, my entire life, just failed me profoundly on so many levels. I was just talking about it with my husband, and it's like I have numerous examples of times that the enabler failed me profoundly as a father, where I was looking to him for something, some semblance of fatherly love and support, and he just completely dropped the ball on that. The thing with the enabling parent is that they themselves are, I've said this about the toxic duo, that they just normalize each other's dysfunction. Like, that is what bonded them together in the first place, It's like there's obviously the narc, and then there's the enabler that comes into the picture to ride their coattails or whatever. I've said the enabler is an inverted narcissist. It's almost like he envies her ruthless pursuance of herself at all times. It's like he wants to be a part of that. They both have a shared interest in being superficial, bougie, like that whole facade. So there's that. But he's got his own deep-seated issues that he's running from. Together, the narcissist and the enabler, they're codependent. They're both codependent on each other because narcissists can't survive without the enabler. It just rooting them on, doing their bidding, and protecting them against their own children. That was my experience. He always stuck up for her, whenever I thought, like, oh, maybe, he's got to see this. Like, she's being awful. He's got to, be reasonable here and defend me. Never. Never. It was always like a united front type of deal. Like, they would never, like, go against each other, which is flipping insane. Joe and I are parents, my husband and I, and we're on the same page like 99% of the time. But if there's something ever that we disagree on, you bet your butt, like, we'll challenge each other on it, particularly when it comes to our children. There's been times that I have, stuck up for our kids or shown him their side of things when maybe he hasn't seen it. We will always advocate for our children, Joe and I. Like, they come first. We love them. They depend on us. They're helpless. They're vulnerable. And that's a parental role. Not when your parent's an enabler. So the narcissist is putting themselves first at all costs. Their entire world is egotistical. So then there's the enabler that comes in and is putting the narcissist first at all costs. But also, as a subset of that, it's like the enabler is also putting their phony facade for, like, by enabling the narcissist to forge ahead and take everyone and everything down around them. It's like protecting the enabler as well from their deep-seated issues and all of their unresolved, unaddressed problems. I see this clear as day. And, we're supposed to get to a place. I'm at a place of indifference. I really don't feel anything for these people. I don't miss them. They have no impact on my life in that way because they're never a part of my, they're never a meaningful part of my life to begin with. And our life is amazing, like, that I have finally cut them off from it. Joe and I love each other so much, and we love and treasure our children. We have great relationships with them, and I would never let the toxic duo infringe on that, like we initially made the mistake of letting them do. I was like, oh, they were crappy parents. And a lot of us have this mentality. We're like, oh, they're terrible parents. Maybe they'll be great grandparents. Not the case. They just get worse as they get older, and they're always on the prowl for new supply. And our children are like prime supply because they're always looking to hurt us, the narcissistic parents. They're always trying to sabotage their own children. So that's an added bonus. And then they get the, admiration and unflinching loyalty of, fresh supply, our kids. It's disgusting. They have no regard for these beautiful little people. They have no respect for them. They have no respect for anyone but themselves. Same story. I'm just going to rattle off a couple of instances in which the enabler profoundly failed me as a father. Throughout my life, it stinks. It really stinks to have this as your parent. I'll start out when the narcissist loser that I was engaged to discarded me. This was back in 2005. So this was like almost 20, or excuse me. Let's see. I don't know, man. It's like almost 20 years ago, right? 2005, 15, 20. It's almost 20 years ago. So he discarded me because I started to assert myself, stick up for myself. Narcs hate that. when you go against them, when you challenge them in any way. And I started to do that to finally stick up for myself and assert myself. So he dumped me because that's what narcs do. They're just severely stunted, immature. They have no, reciprocal ability to make changes in a relationship, to self-reflect, to take your feelings into account. All it is, all day, every day, it's their agenda. That's all they seek to achieve. So I was getting in his way of that, and he didn't like it, so he dumped me. But it was in the worst way. It was like he ghosted me. And I've spoken about this before. The silent treatment is used frequently by narcissists to beat you back into compliance, because by them restricting your ability to express yourself, it's like psychological torture. It's so cruel and insidious. It's absolute psychological abuse. So he ghosted me. He just completely stopped speaking to me. And at the time, we were living in the same home. We were supposed to get married. It was all a charade, all a facade. So all narcissistic abuse is so cruel, mentally, emotionally, just exhausting what these monsters put you through. You're putting your heart and your soul into a useless cause. It's someone that deceives you into believing that they're a reciprocal, loving, worthy person, and they're not. They're just a bottomless void, and they're just draining you of everything you have to offer. So I was totally devastated. I thought I was going crazy. You're losing your mind, because it's just so, that's what they do. The gaslighting, everything, the silent treatment. It's so awful. So I turned to my father during this time, thinking oh my goodness, if ever there was a time that this man will come through for me, this will be it. I poured my heart out to this man. I sent him every email exchange, everything. I was so transparent because I had nothing to hide. I had done nothing wrong. Back at the ranch, he was probably just sharing everything with the narc. Narcs love drama. They feed off of drama and chaos and, other people's expense. So I was the one here that was suffering. So no doubt it was entertaining to the narc. So he was undoubtedly sharing all of my personal agony with this woman, and whatever. I'm not even going to comment on it. But all I wanted him to say to me, and not one time did he ever say it, all I wanted to hear from my father was, he doesn't deserve you, Michelle. You deserve better. Not once did he say that. Because you know what? He's stuck in an unloving marriage, like a terrible relationship that is basically an arrangement. It's just enabling. It's such a toxic situation, and he has no ground for, he just can't assert himself. He's just totally broken, and he's such a cohort of the narcissist. So not once did he say that to me. I was in such a bad place. I had to, again, like we all do, you'd pick yourself up and move on your own, and that's what I had to do. And it even got worse because my parents had put down a deposit on the wedding venue, so it was $1,500. All narcissists care about is money and materialism. So the narc, my ex, actually wrote a letter or something that said, I'll see to it, or an email, I'll see to it that your parents don't lose a dime. So that's all the enabler had to hear, because that's all they care about is money and materialism. So the narc ex and my enabler father, they were like battling it out in like a legal thing. And of course, there's me caught in the crosshairs in the middle. It was so disgusting. Like, you would think a father would care, like, prioritize their daughter at the very least, and just move. Like, all I wanted to do was move on. Like, at that point, thank God I had, reconnected with Joe, my husband, my soulmate that I met in college, that I had broken up with because I was so screwed up from my toxic upbringing. Another story, another video, another day, but all I wanted to do was move forward and put all this behind me. And the henchmen and my ex-narc, like, they just had to duke it out. Narcissists love court because it's their chance to proclaim themselves as, the facade that they're trying to assert. It's their chance to state their case, essentially. And court is a clean slate, and they present themselves well. So it was so awful. I wanted nothing to do with it. It was like over 3 days or something, and I don't even know what it was about. I honestly, in hindsight, I just remember I hated it. I hated everything to do with it. And the narcissist lied about me in like his court statements. It was the first time I learned that you could lie in legal documents and court statements. But, the enabler was there, like, just a shell of a man, like, hiding behind the attorney, like, trying to act like a big shot. So it was the worst. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent with this one. But a major time that my father failed me was when I was just looking for something, some kind of comfort or reassurance when the loser ex dumped me. My life is amazing. Everything, I believe, happens for a good reason, and best thing that loser ever did for me. But, again, the henchman not only failed to support me and reassure me, he went the extra step, and I had to go to court because it was like, are you kidding me? It was like insult to injury. So that was one time. Another time was when our beautiful son was diagnosed with brain cancer. I was best friends, I thought, with this girl. And this is so gross to even talk about. But, like, she used to, like, flirt with the henchman, and, like, he is so starved for love and attention. It was like low-hanging fruit, you know what I mean? So she used to flirt with him, and, my parents love to act like big shots, like they're so affluent and bougie and everything. So obviously, this girl was just doing it to gain something, some type of financial support or something. And, the enabler just lapped it up like a starved animal in the wild. And anyway, so Joey was diagnosed. This girl totally disappeared from our life. My husband and I were just like, what happened? Like, she totally disappeared. Like, at the time, you think your friends would show up for you. Not the case. She just totally disappeared. But it gets worse. So, come to find out, a couple months later, the enabler and the narcissist actually met this girl for dinner and paid for her. Took this girl out to dinner. I was like, what? This is a series of, like, things that you experience when you're dealing with a narcissist when you don't know it yet. You're like, what? Like, you question things that are, like, common sense, like, totally off the wall. But they just act like, what? What are you questioning? Like, you're the crazy one, we're not crazy. This is normal. So they took her out to dinner. I was like, this is crazy. And the enabler said to me, I was like, why would you do that? He was like, I wanted to get her side of the story. I was like, are you flipping kidding me? Like, I'm your daughter and our son has brain cancer. We're going through all that. But you wanted to get somebody else's side of the story? My side's not good enough? Like, wow. Just all the toxicity that we are inundated growing up. We're the bad ones, we're the problems. Like, it's never someone else's wrongdoing or injustice. It's got to be, we are the root of all problems. That was horrific. That was another time. Another time when Joey had brain cancer. I'm going to end with this one. We were in the hospital, and it was literally the day after Thanksgiving 2011. We had, our daughter Madeline had been born in July, so she was 4 months old. And Joey had just literally had brain cancer. And everybody came to the hospital. We were at CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, whatever it stands for. And I was like destroyed, devastated again. And I was like, how could this be? I said to the enabler. And he was like, Michelle, that's life. I was like, again, like, look, no one is perfect in life. I am not criticizing our humanity. There's nothing that could be said in that moment that would be the right thing to say, whatever. But if there was ever a wrong thing to say, that was it. It's just like, you can't go wrong with like compassion, humanity, love. And when you're lacking those things, it shows. It couldn't be more obvious. And it was just so terrible, so awkward, because I never had any family support, Anyway, I'm sorry, you guys. This is my Father's Day video. This is what I dealt with growing up. And he always used to make fun of us. When I was a teenager, I had horrible acne. And the golden boy was not spared from that either. We got their crap genetics. So he had acne too. So we all had to sit down together at dinner. And it was like a free-for-all, like fair game. We were sitting ducks. And the enabler would just destroy us, like rip us apart, make fun of us. Are you flipping kidding me? I look at our beautiful daughters and I'm like, my goodness. Like, if ever there was a time in their lives that they need support and reassurance, and that would have been it. But no, he was entertaining the narcissist at our expense. And believe me, there's a dual purpose there as well, to throw the narcissist off of his tail, because, she was always making fun of him, because narcissists, one of their big target points is like people's weight, which is one of the most trivial, superficial things you could pick on someone for, right? Again, it's low-hanging fruit. It's like my 9-year-old says that to my 10-year-old all the time. Oh, you're fat, you're fat. It's not true, but it's like something that'll get in someone's head and upset them. It's like an insult that a child would come up with, but that's what narcissists latch onto. So she would always be like, oh, you're fat, because the enabler is overweight and unhappy, miserable with his life, been overweight for as long as I can remember. But by him making fun of us and, entertaining her in that way, I guess, he was throwing her off of his trail. So it's also toxic, so dysfunctional and sick. And as an adult, looking back on it, being a mother now, I'm sad for myself. My heart breaks for my childhood self that I endured any of that. And the upside to all of this is I have an amazing, incredible husband that I love with all my heart. And he is a real man through and through. Fun fact, he goes for like physicals every year for the police, and they do like complete makeups, like everything from A to Z. And one year the doctor told him that his testosterone is extra potent or excessive or something. I was like, of course it is. But he's like the best man I've ever met in my life. He's the best husband. He's the best dad. And I love the relationship he has with our daughters. He loves them and cares about them so much. And it just makes that much of a contrast to what I endured my whole life. And it's super sad, but we're breaking the cycle and it's awesome. There's nothing better than that. So I love you all, and my heart goes out to everyone that did not have a father. Some people had sort of a salvageable, enabling, codependent father. Not my case, and if that was your situation as well, my heart goes out to you. Happy Father's Day to you, because you were both parents for yourself, or if you had a narcissistic father, either way, it was a loss, right? It was a wash. Please like, subscribe, share with anyone you think this would benefit or apply to. Please check out my merch. I have merch on Amazon now as well. See the links below in the description for my spring store. Amazon, you just go on there and type it in. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I love you all.